you should not have left this undone. So if we're going to do anything, I don't care if 20 people show up tomorrow with all their assets and their checkbooks and it's just tossed at my feet. If ain't no love there, none of that matters. What I'm about to do, like, they've elected me leader. So y'all move together in these community houses and I'm going to purchase this individual house over here. Because y'all put it all in my hands. Go ahead, though. Yeah. Deuteronomy 25 and verse 1. Look at this, everyone. Let's look at judgment for a minute. And let's see what the Pharisees lack. Deuteronomy 25 and 1.
If there be controversy between men, and they come unto judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and the condemn the wicked.
So in judgment, somebody's going to be right and somebody's going to be wrong. Do we understand that? So when this happens, some people may feel they're friends with the person who right or may feel they're friends with the person who wrong. When judgment comes, uncomfortability can come if our hearts don't have love in them. Brothers and sisters, someone could have done something wrong and have the love of God in them. When Peter denied Christ, them 3 times, that didn't mean that he didn't have the love of God in him. That meant that Christ was proving to him, you still not as ready as you think you is. But Peter always the first to speak on what he is going to do and what he ain't going to do. So a point had to be proven, but that didn't mean he didn't love his master. So when your brother and your sister find themselves in a matter where they got to be judged, are you not necessarily judging them because it's over? But no, you just need to be put back in line. And they can't take it as, oh, so what you saying? They have to take it as, I did do evil. So I deserve the reproof and the rebuke of the word. And my brothers and sisters is the one who the Lord going to use to bring it out. When I read the word, you know you wrong. You read the Bible where you read and you done just did some wrong. Now you study and all of a sudden it's pointing to something you know you did. You just, can't you see how you can easily just do this? What you don't want to see is on this page. Just do that. It ain't in front of you no more. But when your brother and your sister who know you're evil come to you and give the judgment of God, you can't just turn their page. You gotta suffer it. They got looks, they got thoughts, they got facial expressions, all kinds of stuff. You can't do nothing about that, can you? You can't just turn the book. You can turn the book, oh, adultery, man. I just slept with dude's wife last week. So you just go ahead and read the 70 weeks of Daniel because that's better for your soul. But when your brethren find out and they come to you about you touching a man's wife, you can't turn that page. You understand what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? So somebody right, somebody wrong. Go ahead over to chapter 32 and look at this. Judgment. Somebody right, somebody wrong. Deuteronomy 32, read verse 4. And we'll move on. I just want verse 4.
He is the rock. His work is perfect.
Read verse 4. Oh, no, you already are. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me start. He is the rock. His word is perfect. For all his ways are judgment. A God of truth and without iniquity. Just and right is he.
This is God. All his ways are judgment. So when people say, I walk in the ways of the Lord, you know what you're saying? You walk in judgment. Everything about your life is constant judgment. And I'm telling you, it's people who don't want to be around a group of people who just always walking in the ways of judgment. Because everything is always on the table. Everything is always under a microscope. Not to be in nobody's business, but to keep ourselves unspotted from the world and so we can live in Christ. If you don't want that, then you're going to stay away from that. Nobody want to be somewhere where the ways are always judgment. Like, why you always judging stuff? Like, Stuff just, like, why stuff can't just be smooth? Because you're not without sin. That's why it's always judgment. All his ways are judgment. And he is just and right. Tell me one man who can walk with Christ and Christ don't want him to be just and right. So basically we have to be like God. We're not saying we are the Most High, but we have to be like him. Why do you train up your children in the way they should go? Because you want them to be like you. If you're doing right, you want them to be right. If you're doing wrong, you want to teach them the wrong. I know men who done taught their sons how to sell drugs. I grew up around that. Dudes, they father hustle. All of a sudden, you see him out here with money. This is like, yeah, man, my dad showed me how to cook up this, that, and the third. I mean, I was 15. And I know guys 15, 16 years old who dad showed them. This how you get money. This how you cook this up. This how... Y'all think I'm lying? So if I know men did that, I know it's men who walking in the ways of the Lord. Look, son, look, daughter, this is how you follow the Most High. Teaching your children how to pray. Teaching them how to deal with judgment among one another. See the brother upstairs trying to get his children like, look, if y'all don't want the harsh judgment of your mother and your father, let the older ones start to deal with more that matters among the brothers and sisters. And if y'all can settle it, y'all can settle it. Because when they come to mom and pop, their sword is much bigger. You would rather come and say it was a problem, and this is how we handled it. They're going to overwatch it and double check it, but if they feel it's right, you're going to get praise. See, that's how you want your children to do. You want them to have judgment with each other, even when they're not in your sight at every moment. So, brothers and sisters, just and right is he, and all his ways are judgment. Go to Joshua chapter 20. Right over to Joshua, next book. Joshua 20, and when you get there, brother, let's read verses 4 through 6. Joshua 20, verses 4 through 6. See? Okay. Yeah. So let me get there then. Yeah. Joshua chapter 20. Mm-hmm. 20. 1 through 6. I mean 4 through 6. Go ahead. Now this is about when someone has killed someone by accident or whatever, and they had to flee to the cities of refuge. Read that, verse 4.
And when he that doeth flee unto one of those cities shall stand at the entering of the gate of the city, and shall declare his cause in the ear of the elder of the city, they shall take him they should take him into the city unto them, and give him a place that he may dwell among them. I'm sorry, to 6. Oh, yeah. Okay. And if the avenger of blood pursueth after him, then they shall not deliver the slayer up unto his hand, because he smote his neighbor unwittingly, and hate him not before time.
Continue.
And he shall dwell in the city, and he shall dwell in that city until the stand before the congregation for judgment. Until
he stand before the congregation for judgment. He claiming he innocent, right? So we're gonna bring him in the city, and the avenger of blood find out he there. You get stopped at the gate. You're not going up in there hurting nobody. Not until we can prove whether he innocent or not. But how do you prove if the person is innocent or not? They stand before the congregation for judgment. So there has to be judgment among anything that's so-called supposed to be a congregation of people in the name of God. Judgment have to be there because his ways are judgment. Go ahead, brother. Let's move on. Let's go over to Psalm chapter 9. Go to the book of Psalm. Chapter 9. He said the Pharisees lacked judgment, mercy, and faith, which is the love of God. So we seeing that some of the things we reading, they lacking the Spirit of God. If all his ways are judgment, and he telling the Pharisees, y'all have put off judgment, then they put off God from them. They try to get them out of their thoughts and their conscience and do things according to their own understanding. And this is how you can sell all your goods to feed the poor, but you don't have no love. So brothers and sisters, in what we're doing, this is important because we have to have his ways among us. As long as judgment is there, it's a strong possibility that the Lord is there because all his ways are judgment. Okay, brother. Psalm 9, verses 16 through 18.
The Lord is known by the judgment which he executed.
Do you see how he known? No other God in the earth got judgment. So that all these gods of the earth, all these different things, they ain't got no judgment. Men make the judgment. They just pray to these gods in a secondary fashion because they know they made idols. But the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob got a law. He got prophets. He done gave a word to man. And out of Israel done come oracles that all the nations of the earth testify are righteous. Even if they don't follow him or not, that's another story. I'm just telling you, they're going to say they righteous. Okay, so he is famous. He is known simply for one thing, his judgments. So how you going to be known to be his and you don't have no judgment? Go ahead. I'm not there. What age word? Oh, Higgy. Okay, right. Go ahead, sir.
The wicked is snared in the works of his own hands. Higgaion.
Selah.
Higgaion Selah. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten.
The expectation.
I'm sorry, I lost it. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
See, he known for his judgment and the word that he execute, and he gonna destroy the nations who have forgot him. And how have they forgotten him? Because they have forgotten the needy. And they have frustrated the expectation of the poor. So when he show himself, you will know because the expectation of the poor is being filled and the needy are remembered. This is why what Christ and the apostles did was so anti-flesh and blood Israel that they had to do their best to try and get rid of these people. Because they were showing something that Israel had lost as a people, starting at the leadership on down. The poor were being helped. When John's disciples came and said, our master sent us to ask you, man, is you the one that we's waiting for, or is we supposed to be waiting for another? Because we know John was convinced he was, but you just got to make sure. He said, well, tell John you see all of this. And he talked about the blind getting sight and this, that, and the third. And the last thing he named, he said, and the poor have the gospel preached unto them. The poor not forgotten anymore. Their expectation would not just be cast to the back anymore. And we living in a culture right now that does that on a daily basis. All you constantly hear is how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's all you constantly hear. We cannot claim to live in this society and be the followers of the Most High and live according to the way of the society. We can't. We could be in it. We can be lawful citizens in it. But that's it. And we don't break your law because we worship our God. So his law trumping your law and being more perfect, we wind up being in harmony with the best aspects of your law because we're not breaking God's law. It ain't that there is no good in the laws of the land. There's some good in it, but there's a lot of evil in it too. That's the difference between them and the Most High. Let us go ahead and look at something else. Go over to chapter 25, same book. We're going to read verses 8 through 10. Chapter 25, 8 through 10. And you know, it's interesting that most of these Psalms are written by a man who was in a position of having to make sure that the expectation of the poor was met and the needy was remembered. David, he was king. He got to sit with the priests and the nobles and the rich of the empire. And it's their duty to make sure that they poor brethren among them are not destitute and that they not just living in decay and squalor. People act like what Jesus and them did was new.